So we did that. Dan, did you have any other questions on customer stuff? Okay, Joe, how about you?
Well, I learned how to send a statement to my slow-paying clients. So I hope to get paid for the golden tennis balls.
That's a pretty steep thing. I hope he pays for that too. I don't have $26,000 for golden tennis balls. Okay, cool. And we did have to turn some additional permissions on, and ideally we went lightly through the receivables part of that to kind of generate some statements. It's not required.
What just popped up here?
It's a chat
it's a
from GoToMeeting. Yes. So this is external.
That's a good question.
Yeah. John says if you're shipping to 4 different addresses, can you do it with one invoice?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay.
And the same.
So so watch this. Let's pretend that we're going to do Shannon again, okay? And instead of saying brother, 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 let's make it. We're going to ship to this and ship to this and ship to this and ship to this, okay? So instead of brother, this is ship to 1, and say you actually have some address in here. And then blah, 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 pretend that there's all the rest of the information in there, okay? City, state, zip, etc. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of make the other ones into the same. You can even do it so that it doesn't even have to be a physical entity of that piece if you want to. Like, you can even just kind of be like, okay, you know what, I just want to add my own information in, and this is like a one-time deal. I don't really want to store it anywhere. But what I was going to show you here is, say we just change this to ship 2-2. So now I've got shipping to, let's call this ship 2-3. But if this makes any sense right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create an invoice for Shannon, okay? So currently I have nothing, and I say new cart for the current client. It automatically pulled in ship 2-3 because I had that already assigned as pull it in automatically, okay? And I would have to just go like this. What else do we want? Oh, I actually want to ship 2-1 and ship 2-2. Go ahead. So we have ship 2-3, ship 2-1, ship 2-2. Like, depending on how you add them in, they're just like you can add as many as you want. Once again, if you can think one to many, you will love Adilas. If you think just rigid and kind of blocked in, you're like, oh, I can only do this. But if you start thinking, wow, I could, or who potentially needs this? We think in one to many as much as possible, okay? So technically, here's this, pretend that I had actual valid addresses for all of these different people. Let's go add a little moose again. By the way, Roxanne, we created a cool little My Cart favorite button. It has a moose on it, but it is your stuffed horse, like the stuffed animal, okay?
Surprise.
So it's Herman the horsey, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and check out on this one. And once again, pretend that I'm just putting it on account, and we'll create the invoice. So now on this particular invoice, here's all of my little pieces. One to many, one to many, one to many, one to many, okay? And pretend that it actually had real information. But that's where you're at, okay?
Yeah.
How you talked about ship 1 to them, ship 1 to them, and ship 1 to them?
Okay, I don't know what the actual question was. They just said, can I add multiple, like, depending on what's going on. What it could happen is, say you had this. Shannon's going to pay for this whole master invoice, and then I need to ship 2 to this, 2 to this, 2 to this. I would actually add notes in here, and then the person who's doing the ship to would actually fulfill that and actually do it, okay? So like even right now, it's physically done. It's an invoice. Ugh, how am I going to do that? I'm going to go like this. Edit line items. Literally, so I'm still in invoice 36. I'm no longer in the shopping cart. And look at this. I can come down in here and I can tweak anything I wanted to. So right here, and I come down to the notes. Okay, whatever you needed to do, and then you tie it into this particular thing, and so all of a sudden it has a little note that says, hey, send, and I'm sorry, I know it's a horse, but I was thinking bears. Anyway.
Horse, bear, moose.
Okay, this demo is definitely going downhill. We'll switch gears. Did that answer your question a little bit? I think, no, who was it that had questions on the multi?
John.
Okay, John from online. John, hello, John. Ask him if that's okay, if he has any questions on that. Actually, yes, that was good. Okay, he must have been
He
able
can
to hear
hear
us
you.
before you could type it. So.
It's faster. He hears you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Santiago, any comments you have on customers? We're just kind of trying to review customers because it's a big piece of Adilas, okay,
Yeah.
as far as like payment histories or say somebody still owes you money
I
or,
would say search high criteria, because basically there's a lot of customers, or you could enter a lot of data about a customer
Mhm.
and how to find them, how to search them. I think showing everybody how the different aspects, the different ways that you can actually find a customer, look up a customer. What are you looking for? If it's notes, if it's follow-up dates, if it's sold, if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's inactive, active, so on and so forth. So I think that's kind of something that really, kind of I wanted to touch on, and I think everybody else, should really kind of pay attention to. That's kind of a big piece to searching your customers and finding out where they're at and how to find them.
awesome. As we're talking about searching customers, let me show you one thing that will help you. From any page, go to help and then quick search help and then scroll down till you get to customer. So customers is a big one. New, advanced, all, last, numeric, general alphanumeric. You can also search for cell phone, home phone, work phone, email, like right from the quick search, okay? So like if I'm back here, just back one spot where I'm actually at any sort of page and I'm going to use a quick search client and say I actually had, part of an email address. Who had Adilas, okay? Or who had 0000, maybe we added a zip code of that.
And I also like this
What was
functionality, guys, because what I always say is a fail-safe. Because you're never going to try to duplicate a lead because it's going to tell you if it's in the system already or not.
Russell is having you put in a part of his email.
Yeah, I was going to say, put in the reach for just reach, because it would find my email, right?
Watch this. Let's go right here. In advanced
Oh,
client
he's
search,
a
if
sub.
I know that it's specifically in an email, you can literally detail it down here. Actually, you're under a sub-client, okay? So that would actually be under here that we would be finding your. You have to figure out where the pieces are stored, and then you could search for them, okay? But if you want it to be more detailed, I popped into the advanced search, and I could literally be like, say I wanted to find people with certain birthday ranges. It literally could be like, date of birth from here to here, go. Like, I can find any of that type of information, and it just allows me to play with it, okay? So there's tons. Credit limits, notes, address, city, state, zip. City, I know I put in some in here, okay? And just going to flip this to like that. I'm just trying to see if I have any other criteria that it's trying to think that I'm looking for. Did I put some city? I must have put some city. I'm not sure
Sorry,
why.
I changed that.
Oh, did you change yours?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
You can search my
Great, there's too many people playing here, I can't even remember. Okay, anyway, your search capability should be tons. Let's go like this. Client all, what do we got? We got 13 of them in here, okay? A couple different ones. Like, you should be able to use your quick search pretty handy. Okay, please don't change this on me. I'm going to show you that it really works. See the 777? Watch this. That's a zip code. I don't know if it searches a zip code. Let me go backwards. Let's find a phone number. I'm going to go like this so I can actually get a cell, home, work, fax, and let's go ahead and search everybody so I can see some numbers. Okay, here's a phone number right here, 6789. Okay, and it basically dropped me down to Fred Wilson, so if I went to his log, I basically found a part of his work phone number. Okay, but anyway, you can, once you learn where your pieces are, you can bounce and bounce and bounce, so it's kind of fun. Okay, David, do you have any comments on customers or anything like that?
As far as?
Just as far as general review, we're kind of getting ready to move on to a new section, and I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions on that particular part of
I'm
it.
trying to soak it in right now.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. Roxanne, any questions?
No.
Okay. Perfect. One other thing that's pretty important on as far as customers, sometimes you might actually want to apply payments to them later on. Okay. I'm going to actually go to the receivables homepage. So from right here, I'm going to find invoices or customers, and I'm going to find receivables. I have to have it turned on. And this is probably trying to limit it by my area, so I'll just expand that. Okay, so basically right here, I have a whole bunch of people. We've talked about the log. This is the primary spot for that customer. The payment history says, hey, how much have they totally paid over the time? Statements is how you create statements. And apply payments, we haven't really talked about this a whole lot, okay? So here's one, Clowns R Us, 2 invoices that are outstanding. If I click on apply payments, watch what happens. It's going to go right to Clowns R Us, okay? So here's the page, apply payments to invoices. Here's the total that they owe me. And let's say that they're going to pay an amount of this. How much do you want to pay, the whole thing or a partial?
Partial.
Okay, great, give me a number.
15,000.
15,000. Okay, so watch this. What I'm going to do is if I click on this, what it does is it's going to spread it out to oldest first, depending on where things are happening, okay? So it's automatically, it clicked this, it put in the amount, and says it's going to be a partial payment. And then I say, okay, great, I'm very glad that you're going to send me a check. Okay, and then I say apply payment. So I can technically do it to whatever level I want it to, and it'll actually apply that payment to that.
So you don't have to go back to your invoice and do a checkout.
You don't, no, you don't have to go back to the invoice. You can technically just say apply it, and it'll start pushing it back to those pieces of the puzzle. Okay, I just wanted to show you that just so you can kind of get an idea of that.
Awesome.
Perfect. Okay, you guys ready for the next? Russell, yes.
I was going to say, when you start doing those subsequent payments, on that invoice, will it show each time that he makes little payments to
Absolutely. So let's do this. We are on Clowns R Us, okay? And I'm going to go to his log. Okay, he currently, somebody else must have applied some payments as well. Was somebody else applying payments? It's okay, but basically he went way negative and he was positive, so like there's lots of people playing in here. So anyway, what I wanted to show you was if we actually went to his all invoices year to date, or if we wanted to even just go to a thing called his payment history, we can actually come in here and say, who did this, who did this.
That was me. I was making sure you paid me.
Okay, yeah, he's definitely going to get you paid. But what happens is on invoice 16, watch this, if we go to the printable or the edit version of invoice 16, it'll kind of, okay, so it looks like Joe did 22222 and I did check 444, okay? So we were both kind of playing in there, but basically immediately it's going to show up as a negative receivable, and you're going to have to go fix that, either get rid of one of them or something, okay? Because if I go to receivables now, watch this, home, and then we'll just go to clients and receivables. Let me switch that back to the all areas. And usually when you're actually doing payables, like depends on who's actually doing this. Like we have 50 million locations in here and 50 million different little things. Usually, like say a mom and pop or whatever, they don't even have to do that other little switch that I did. They're like, oh, what are my receivables? And they're just instantly on that page, okay? So right here, look at this thing. It shows a negative right here. It's going to show up. It's going to keep showing up until we fix it, okay? Joe and I were actually talking about this over lunch. Like we were talking about part of the accounting and how does it do it and how does it show up. Well, guess what? It's going to stay negative until we either fix that thing or something else happens, okay?
That's Rocco's service charge.
Oh, that's Rocco's service
Yeah, we
charge.
gotta put that in his paycheck.
Okay, okay. There's lots of different ways you can do stuff, but depending on how things go and flow and how tight you're trying to keep it to the accounting, it totally changes. As soon as he says, oh, that's Rocco's service charge, immediately in my mind, this is just me thinking, whoa, do we have that recorded? Like, you can't just automatically get an extra $3,500 without saying, okay, this was actually Rocco's service charge. And I can even go add it to that invoice if I wanted to, even after the fact. The invoice is closed and done, and I can still go in and add that to that invoice, okay? But you don't want to just like randomly get money and then like that's where you're going to get in trouble, okay? But immediately the system just says, I'll show you what I've got. And like it's up to you to kind of help make it match and balance. Okay? Perfect. That was a great question. Any other questions on customers? Okay. So we wanted to talk a little bit about how we doing. Do we need a break, or we good to go? We're fresh. Kind of after lunch. Let's do a 5-minute break. Okay. Let's kind of keep it a short one. We'll do a 5-minute break, and then we'll transition. Before we transition, do you guys want me to transition into some e-commerce settings, elements of time, or FlexGrid?
How about we do elements of time?
Elements of time? Okay, great. We had a vote towards elements of time. Okay, so let's be back at 2:20ish. Okay, 2:20.